The following is a special presentation of the PDF Sports Network.
Some days, y'all, are better than others, and I got to tell you, today is a challenging day at the Maradei crib. I'm straight up honest. We got black mold behind my cabinets. I don't even know how I'm functioning right now. I'm drinking some homemade wine. My boys are like, you got to keep it going straight. So, how would you rate Super Bowl 59? Is it what you thought would happen, or were shocking things that left you scratching your head? For me, I was scratching my little goatee. The halftime show, did it hold your attention, or was this something for the pre-30 crowd? I don't know. Chops thought it was for the pre-30 crowd. It seems to me that this game has become such a spectacle. Is it possible to get too big and people lose interest? Is that possible? I don't know. I'm not certain, but I can tell you we are going to look at every aspect of this thing tonight. I got Noobs, K-Watt, Chops, and Sheen joining me tonight, and we're going to break down this Super Bowl. We don't care if you like what we break down or not. We're still breaking it down. So thanks for joining us, and let's get after this a little bit.
National Streaming Sports is brought to you in part by BetUs.com, designed for true fans. NFL odds, Week 1 and futures, college football odds, including Heisman Trophy favorites and playoff odds, NBA odds of division winners and playoffs, Major League Baseball playoff and World Series odds, the National Hockey League Conference playoffs and Stanley Cup odds, and boxing wagers. Betting opportunities include versus the spreads and outright winners, also during the game. Use our link on our website, nessp.info, the Bet Us Opportunities webpage, for a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. Must be 21 years old, and remember, bet responsibly.
You're going to call anyone that loves you. You're going to ask them if you can use their card to buy concert tickets because your card's maxed out. Okay. If they say yes, you get the tickets.
I can't call my parents because they already think I make bad financial decisions. Well, so I think I'll call one of my friends.
Okay.
I'm a little nervous. I feel tingly.
What's your not answer?
Giovanna?
Yes.
I was on SeatGeek earlier and I saw 2 tickets for Olivia Rodrigo at a really, really, really good price. So
Oh my god.
I maxed my credit card out by accident last week. Do you think I could use yours to buy the tickets?
Oh my god, yes.
Did I?
Yeah, you got the tickets. You got the tickets.
I just want tickets. We're going to go to the concert together. Giovanna, I'll call you later. Love you. Thanks for picking up. Oh my god. I'm going to see Olivia Rodrigo.
Yes, thank you, SeatGeek.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world, it's time to experience the O's on the Original Sports Podcast.
Hey, good evening, everybody joining us at the Original Sports Podcast with Mark Maradei and the Barbershop crew. We decided to kick things off a little bit early tonight. Some of the boys and I have the day off tomorrow because it's snowing, and they called the day apparently. I don't know 100%, but where we are down in Maryland, everybody else got out early today, and they stuck our asses in the classroom for a full day. I know some of you can't really appreciate that, and you know what, Noobs, Waddy and I, we really don't give a shit if you can appreciate it or not. We were stuck there with them kids, and them kids did not want to be there, did they?
No, they didn't.
No, I mean, it was, you know.
They were
I
angry.
never want to be there.
Who they didn't want to be there?
No,
They
they
never wanna be
were
there.
angry, man. I
They
tell you
knew
what,
that-
some of the teachers were angry too.
Oh, hell yeah. They knew that every other county in Maryland, north of Virginia, essentially was getting out at least 2 hours early. Montgomery County said, nah, we good. We staying. Which, you know, that's Montgomery County because we good. We stayed. Fellas, the Super Bowl, man. I don't know what to say about it. The halftime show. I know Sheen was down with the halftime show and all that, but I was like Chops. I'm going to be honest with you. I had no clue what was going on there. What did you notice thing was going to be a lopsided game, though? How far into this?
Who you talking to?
I'm talking to y'all.
Go ahead, Sheen.
I think I knew on what day did we get together? Saturday.
Oh no, you didn't. Stop.
He said it.
Did I not give you the score? What are you talking about? What's it?
Yeah. No, he was on it. He was on it.
What did I say, Mark? What did I say? What?
40. I think you said 42-24 is what I think you said.
All right.
Yeah, hey, every once in a while he'll throw some shit off the wall. You know.
Listen, you got to throw it up there to see if it's going to stick, right, Chops?
Okay.
I mean, even a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
I love that.
Because of the defense.
I mean, as we talked about, earlier this week. I guess that was yesterday or Sunday. No, it must have been yesterday.
Saturday.
I just didn't think that they had a receiver that could get open. Like, I mean, who's the receiver's going to get open against those three guys? Like, DeJean is the number 3. Like,
I think you got a man crush on Cooper DeJean. I think you got a little man crush on the white boy.
That kid was balling.
He
was.
He just turned 22 years old.
I want to say his pick 6 was the point, I think, probably where most people in America were like, oh shit, this is on.
Yeah.
That was still first half, though, right?
It was. It put him up 17.
First quarter, wasn't it?
Yeah. And honestly, mine, and because of the defense, that's why I got the hoodie on. I'm going Belichick on your ass. I'm Belichops tonight. That
money, though.
Was Belichick-esque. But real talk, I honestly didn't think it was going to get ugly until after the first series of the third quarter, because I just knew Reed was going to make some changes. I just figured Mahomes would come out, ticked off, and they were at least going to get 7 easy. I really thought that. And then and they even started that drive tough. And then
they did.
And whatever. I was like, that's it. That's ball game. That's ball game. When they, after that first possession in the third quarter, that's when I realized you can cancel Christmas. It shocked me, man. I don't care. It shocked me. It shocked me.
My brothers, I have good news. I just got an announcement that said Montgomery County Public School is closed tomorrow. So bring it on.
I already told you that, though.
I know, Waddy. I know.
You tried to drop the actual factuals, Waddy, but he don't want to listen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He don't want to listen. It was funny though, fellas, because I send a text out, and then the next play in the first drive, they call that BS. To me, it was BS pass interference, offensive pass interference. You know what I mean? But I got to be honest with you. After that, I didn't even see any calls that to me were iffy. The ones they called, I agreed with I agree with them. But it was kind of weird. You saw where Hopkins, in his presser, he was like, look at the score, but nobody talks about the iffy calls now. Nobody saw any Hopkins. Nobody saw any that favored a team either way.
They could have called holding on Kansas City every play.
Oh man.
They also could have called hands to the face on that sack that he fumbled. Mahomes fumbled.
And they should have. That to me, I get. You missed that once in a while. I get that. Because to be honest with you, I didn't see it until after in the replay. The way his arm was, I thought for sure. I said his arm's ripped.
Yeah,
I didn't see elbow, shoulder. I thought something was ripped on that.
He had 2 hands to the face, though. He didn't just have one. Jalen Carter made sure he got 2 hands to the face. Pow. And then he laughed. Did you see him when he walked away from that? He laughed a little bit.
Yeah.
He had no respect for Mahomes. I mean, I get it. Like, would you? Because he looked lost. To me, fellas, I knew this game was a mess when I saw the look of Mahomes' eyes on their first drive and they had to punt the ball away. He just had this look about him that I was like, damn, I've never seen that boy have that look. And then they kept showing him on the sidelines. I didn't see that same fire, that same je ne sais quoi, shall we say, that he normally has. He just looked, I don't know. He looked, I don't want to say scared, but he looked lost.
But see, this is to me why, the old man, the curmudgeon, I don't believe there's an MVP in the NFL. It's not that I don't believe it. I just hate that term, because football is the ultimate team sport. And literally the entire Chiefs offense and defense just looked like they forgot that it was Sunday Super Bowl. Nobody looked on. And I mean, it was just I hate to say embarrassment. They were just spanked. It was an embarrassment from beginning to end. And the game wasn't as close as the score was, to be honest with you, not in my opinion.
No,
So let's
he
jump to
doesn't.
this then. Jalen Hurts gets the MVP. God bless. You know, he's a good kid. He worked hard out there. But who was really, in your opinion, who was the MVP? Because I know who I think it was.
O and D line, like we said, offensive, defensive line. Or if you just want to go the entire defense, that
Sweat.
defense.
But that D line is what made the rest of the defense stand out. Like
The
they
D-line.
couldn't contain 4 dudes. Like no matter what they put there, they put 6 on the line, a running back in the back. They was just blowing it up, picking guys up, moving them backwards.
They did, but even early on, before it was ridiculously out of hand, Kansas City abandoned the run game. And when you abandon the run game, and I know all I'm doing is pinning my ears back, News was a D lineman. You know, if I don't have to worry about the run and all I got to do is get to the quarterback, that's a completely different mindset as a D lineman.
Brother, News was a linebacker. Don't let his size fool you.
I'm just kind of a little bigger.
Oh, okay. But I do, man. I think, and it was those four up front were tough. They were, and they reminded me of when the Giants held the Patriots to 17 when the Patriots were 18-0. That front four was the difference. But fellas, and I do want to give that D line props, but man, Braun, that defensive backfield was everywhere. Nobody was open. I mean, they were on them getting INT. It was a master class everywhere. Everyone.
It's a great call. What's amazing, in 42 dropbacks, they had 0 blitzes.
I know.
They sent 4 every single. They did send Braun one time, and they dropped Nolan Smith. They dropped,
but they only had 4 though. They only brought
rushed 4.
Yeah.
So it's technically still rushing 4. Man, like
that was early.
I've never coached in a game. Well, I probably coached in a couple of blowouts, but I haven't coached in too many games where you never blitzed the whole entire game.
I know, not once, not even early.
That's crazy. They never had to.
No.
And it was constant pressure.
47% pressure rate. That's crazy. And
I've never heard of such a thing. Never.
I like some of the times that they maybe didn't get a technical pressure. Like if you looked at his feet, he was a mess. Mahomes was an absolute mess the whole time. Like he was scared to death. I don't know how you do that as a quarterback. How you look down the field knowing that you have 4 werewolves coming for you, and you got some guys that are out of shape and not able to block them. Like you know they're going to get to you, and you're looking down the field going, "Oh, like it's crazy." Like Chop said, they were well covered, but man, that D line was ferocious.
But when we was texting, I was saying, I don't understand why there wasn't adjustments from that perspective, though, because if I'm calling that offense and I see how they're bringing heat like that, that ball's coming out of my hands in 2 seconds or less. And they were not adjusting. Kansas City didn't adjust to any of that. They also threw on first down the majority of the time. But fellas, let me just tell you something about Kansas City. I went and did my homework on them, when we were talking on Monday and stuff. Mahomes only had like 650 some yards in 3 playoff games. He threw for 5 touchdowns, 2 INTs. He was sacked 11 times in the playoffs. 11 times in the playoffs, okay? Add to that their leading rusher was Kareem Hunt, who came on board halfway through the season with 117 yards. They had a total of like 267 yards rushing. And then their leading receiver was Xavier Worthy. Not even like, like that blew me away. And his receiving yards were like 275 over 3 game span. Right. None of those guys averaged anything like a powerful offense. None of them, not one of them. And the writing was on the wall. If you saw those numbers going into that game, you knew that. If you go back and look at the other 17 games they played, it's amazing how piss poor they played, but their defense bailed them out so often, and a few flags going their way helped to set the stage for them to win some games. I'm not going to blame the refs, but I'm going to blame the refs.
Yeah.
In retrospect, you wonder how they beat Buffalo. Like how's it possible?
Well, I think it goes back to Andy Reid changing up to beat each team that he plays. He doesn't keep the same, like when he played Baltimore, it was a different style that he had to win with. When he played Buffalo, it was another style he had to win with. And then he came to, with the Philly, and the D line
they caused havoc, and he had no answer for it. When you got dudes, in your backfield before you can even blink, that's a problem. I mean, shoot, on any level, that's a DB. The DBs are back there. Shoot, they're
chilling
at that point, ball in the air.
Yeah,
we gonna go get it.
Yeah.
So,
and again, fellas, and it's funny that Waddy brings that up. And also, I think it was the Texans when they beat the Texans. Was it if you call? I don't know, but they just had experience on Texans. I think mentally the Bills just don't know if they can beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. So that mental fatigue was there, but in the playoffs. But also, fellas, just think about this. Since he has been gone, what is it, 2 or 3 seasons? I understand they went to the Super Bowl and won a couple, but the Chiefs' offense has not been the Chiefs' offense since they've lost Bieniemy. We have not seen whatever, and we saw no screen Sunday. We didn't see any it was like you said, where he just couldn't make any adjustments. And it's not even that we saw any try to be made, then they didn't work. He was running the same thing. It shocked me. I mean,
but was it Bieniemy or was it the personnel he had? Because a younger Kareem Hunt can make some, Kareem Hunt 3-4 years ago was a different player than he is today, even though they gave him the rock. Why did they not use Pacheco? I played a parlay and I had Pacheco for 25 yards on the ground. Shit, he had like 13 yards.
He had 7 on 3
carries. Is it 7?
They abandoned the run before the game even started.
Yes.
They came out. It was pass. They had no thoughts of running the football. And I think that also kind of cost them a little bit, because the run game, if you can establish it, continue it, will slow the D-line down, because they do have to worry about it. But shoot, once they got up on top of KC, now let's let the dogs loose, let them go.
Yeah.
Because who's worried about the run now?
But
they had to establish that run, and they never did it.
But even if you don't establish the run, keeping them honest with running the ball, maybe you get 2 yards a carry. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. You got to keep them honest, because then when they start teeing off, you could start running draws in screens, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't even the tight ends were not involved at all. The couple passes thrown to Kelsey, apparently his head was in the clouds that game, but a couple passes thrown to him, one was really piss poor, and one he got the shit smacked out of him.
And the crazy. Go ahead, Sheen.
That was Kelsey's haircut. He used to get a fade, right? Now he went Taylor Swift. He getting that silly haircut. And he wiping hair out his face. He ain't the same Kelsey, man.
No. And there's a premium put on on offense. Everybody wants offense because the new modern day fan wants to see points, wants to see points.
I don't.
Fellas, defense is still what wins championships. And the crazy part is, I was reading the stat, and I wish I could remember where I read it, and I wish I'd have screenshot it. In Brady's 7 championships, his defense was in the top 10. I think it was 6 times of those 7 championship wins. Defense wins championships, fella. It still does, and I don't get how. And when you think about it, even when Brady he had the number 1 defense, but Mahomes he had no offensive line when he lost against Brady. In this one, he had not much of a supporting cast, but eventually that catches up to you. But I don't know if the 85 Bears would have been able to eat the Eagles on Sunday. The Eagles played lights out, fellas. They really did. You didn't ask Jalen Hurts to do a lot. Your boy Barkley didn't do a lot, but they were efficient when they needed to be. And and those turnovers, wow, those turnovers hurt, man.
So you knew Kansas City wanted to take Saquon away. Do you think that's what affected the rest of the game plan for Kansas City? Do you think they were so focused on taking Saquon out of the game that it killed the rest of their game plan?
I don't think you can. Go ahead, maybe.
I was just gonna say their defense didn't play awful. They weren't bad, and they held Saquon at 25 carries for 57 yards. If you told us all that stat at the end, we would all say, Philly lost.
I'll take it.
Here's what they did. Mahomes had 11 rushes for 72 yards. So he faked and then pulled it. He pulled it and ran some counters and stuff like that. So they sold out to stop Barkley, but then
You mean Hurts?
I mean
Hurts.
Hurts. I'm sorry, I said
Yeah,
Hurts.
yeah.
They had Hurts. Yeah, Hurts had 72 yards on 11 carries. That's I don't know, man. I think they just did a masterful job. They really did.
Absolutely. When guys were open, Hurst hit him. He didn't have to thread the needle. He didn't have to make any of that. I'll be honest with you though. That long bomb, that touchdown pass, I still don't know how he completed that. The DB was right with him. I don't know how he completed that.
He had his hand in there, and
know.
skinny ass Devontae Smith pulled it out. How you let a guy that weighs 162 pounds pull that shit away from you?
How about
seriously?
That being first Super Bowl in Alabama history? First Super Bowl touchdown. How funny is that?
They did Jalen Hurts dirty, man. They did him dirty.
Yeah,
they did him dirty. Because me and News, you read it, and I was like, "What about Hurts?" And they were like, "Now." And I went back and looked at some old video. Basically, they were loving Tua so much they were like, "Kick rocks," and they didn't. And Bama fans were no longer claiming Hurts when he left because they figured they had Tua. So we
were talking about that on Saturday. How do they count? Do they count it just as the last school you went to? Like,
I guess. If that's where you graduated, then they call that your alma mater. I mean, since that's where technically you graduated from.
Oh,
that's crazy, isn't it?
I can tell you on. I know when Addison did Monday night, he said both schools. He had said Pitt, USC.
Yeah.
He better say Pitt because he won the Blitnikoff there.
Yeah.
He didn't win it with fingernails.
Made a lot more money out there though, out west.
That was actually for Hurts. That was probably the best move he could have made. Was leaving Alabama and going to
Now,
I think that one season why he got him into the league because he showed he could pass.
On this, fellas. Was Lincoln Riley still the head coach when Hurts got there?
Yes, Lincoln Riley.
So is this Lincoln Riley's best quarterback he's ever coached? Because I'm sorry, fellas, I'm still not sold on Caleb Williams. I'm not. He may turn out because he has pieces around him, just like Hurts has. But you got to prove it, even though you got pieces around you. I mean, is this his best? Is this the best guy he's had?
Didn't he coach Baker Mayfield? So he had Baker and
he did
Caleb Williams go first.
Yeah,
he did have two QBs to go number one overall. That's impressive. Now they're not going.
Kyler Murray, Caleb Williams.
What about Kyler?
Now, is it a thing then? I know we had this discussion a minute ago with Rashene because he didn't buy into the coaching at the next level in the NFL level. I'm not throwing you under the bus here, but you know.
It don't matter because I still don't.
Okay, and that's fine. but is it a thing? Because look at what Baker ended up doing down there in Tampa. Is it the system? Is it the experience?
I don't want to go with coaching, but I'll say schemes. I think schemes matter.
Yeah, definitely, especially in the Philadelphia defense. This is putting you where you're supposed to be. Like I just watched the pivot with James Harrison was on the pivot, and he said learning Dick LeBeau's defense is crazy because he said if a man goes in motion, whatever you were doing before he came in motion, it changes now. He said you be covered.
That should be the same for most teams unless you're man to man. But from that perspective, though, think about what you're saying. The schemes. Who draws up the schemes?
Dick LeBeau.
Right. And what's he? He was a coach.
Where is Dick LeBeau? Is he passed away?
No. He's watching TV. He's watching TV from that fucking.
Dick LeBeau, you're out there and you can hear me. Come back.
He's like 82 now.
That's fine. He can still. That's fine. Write his stuff down on a piece of paper and hand it to him. I don't care. Good.
Remember on Superman? Superman when they said, Superman, if you're out there and you can hear me.
Yeah, that's a whole nother ball wax. That's a Thursday show, fellas. That's a Thursday show. Because I could drop this one on you if Jalen Hurts paid. Hey, if Jalen Hurts played for Mike Tomlin, would he win a Super Bowl? If Jalen Hurts played for Antonio Pierce, would he win a Super Bowl? If Jalen Hurts played for Brian Daboll, would he win a Super Bowl? I think Jalen Hurts is in the right situation because of the scheme and because of what they expected from him. They only expected a lot from him when they needed him to give a lot.
I got a question for you.
Okay.
And I think we talked about this Saturday. If Justin Fields played for the Eagles, would they have won?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Listen to me. All things considered, I honestly believe if you would have put Fields in Philly, they could have won the ring with Fields. But it's also if you'd have taken Hurst in Pittsburgh, they might have been a little better. Maybe I don't think much better because it's pieces to again, it'll be a Thursday show. But I think Fields, to me, if I'm Fields, I do want to put feelers out there to see what's out there because they have now showed you schemes matter. Schemes matter. Nobody was talking about Hurst as the man, and nobody thought Hurst could win one. Now look at him.
At the end of the day, though, I'm sorry, Sheen, go ahead.
I thought he could win one.
Go ahead,
drafted.
On the other end of that, Chops, Arthur Smith said he wanted Fields. So maybe Fields is a better fit. I don't know. But all I was saying, like I said on Saturday, was Hurt doesn't do anything that Fields can except like what he said. He's a little more cleaner. He can make better passes. He's more accurate. But, throwing for 150, 200 yards and then running for 3 touchdowns, Fields can do that.
But also you noticed the Eagles ran a couple crossing routes, and the route that Brown scored on because the series earlier, he and Sirianni are yelling. Then they make sure A.J. Brown gets the ball. That was a nice, pretty in and out route. Steelers don't run they run basically the same shit they was running on Nintendo back in the 90s.
Thursday. Hey, what made Kellen Mond was the offensive coordinator. You know where he is today? He's a head coach.
Yeah,
he's a head coach in New Orleans.
Which I'm gonna put question marks all over that, by the way.
Why is that, Waddy?
Oh shit.
The dude got fired. He got fired in Dallas as the offensive coordinator.
Okay.
Then he almost got fired for where was he at? He was at somewhere else, and I think he got fired. And then he was it the Giants? I don't know. Somewhere he got fired, let go, whatever it was. And then he ends up with the Eagles in a good spot, good situation. And now all of a sudden he's a head coach. Come on, man.
We know how that. Listen, we already listen.
Was he with the Chargers? Was he the Chargers?
Yes, that's who it was.
Yeah, the Chargers.
Yes, that's who it was. Got fired.
It's just we know this is friends. Listen, anywhere Maradei with the coach, he would say, "Hey, Rashene, you want to help?" It's friends, man. Friends.
And I'm feeling what Waddy's saying. I'm picking up what he's laying down. The only thing I will give more credit for, because he was always a passing QB. He was always heavy in the pass. And this year he realized with what he had to pull back, shut down the passing playbook a little bit, and opened up the running game and made the passing game friendly to your boy, to Hurst. That I'll give him credit for.
But if I had 5 dudes across the front that were 6'6", 320, I wouldn't even consider passing every down. Like, that wouldn't even be a question to me. I'd be banging you every time. I'd wear you the hell down.
We say that, but we see coaches every day, and we'll talk about it Thursday. We see coaches every week that don't play to their strengths. So I don't know if it's ego. I don't know if they don't have the restraint. I don't know what it is. But on the same token, now again, Waddy doing it again, then hit me to something I wasn't thinking about. So he was at Dallas, their offense. Then he goes to, excuse me, fellas. Then he goes to
the Chargers,
San Diego for 1 year. For 1 year, right?
Yeah.
So he was in Philly for 1 year. I understand they won the Super Bowl, and now he's a head. Now I wasn't even thinking about that. So you've had basically 1 year of success this year. Now you're a head coach.
Who coaches their receivers? Who coaches their offensive line? Who coaches the running backs? Fellas, that's what makes the offensive coordinator, because first of all, the offensive coordinator doesn't call a run game, right, noobs? It's the offensive line coach 9 times out of 10 is a run game coordinator. And
it depends how they have this set up.
Yeah, but they threw props to the offensive line coach from Philadelphia. They threw big props to him.
But go back. So when you said the offensive line, so he calls the running plays?
He recommends this is what we should do against them. He gives them. He literally sets them up based on what he's seen, been told. Their quality assurance coaches, quality control coaches. Those guys, they break down the film. They hand it to him. He looks it over. He says, "You know what? We can do this, and this."
Right. Okay.
And he passes on that run game to the offensive coordinator. He doesn't necessarily tell him, "Hey, we need to run this run now." He tells him, "Though, these are the things that are going to work, and we're going to practice."
Gotcha.
That's why he's the coordinator of that.
The Southland. He has been the Eagles' O-line coach and run coordinator since 2016. And Mark brought up a good point on that aspect, because that's not even between Waddy and Barber. You got me thinking. That's not even Moore's MO. Think about it. Moore has been a passing guy, but now we're to believe that you can call the perfect run game, blocking his. Damn it, I never thought about that. Now, he is definitely going on the greener pastures on somebody else's back.
It happens a lot.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
happens
crazy.
a lot.
It's what it is, y'all. That's what it
That's
is.
crazy. I never even thought about it.
But the exciting part is it should pull Philly back down to earth just a little bit because they're going to have to hire another offensive coordinator, and it doesn't necessarily mean who they bring in is going to be able to work with those guys. And I think that's a big part of it. Not every coach you bring in, not every coach you promote can work well with the guys that are helping them become instrumental at their job. And that just, it's like an assistant offensive line coach. If he's not doing his job with the guards and you're the O-line coach and your guards are failing, it's his fault. Then you're changing the dynamics of that line. It's a whole, it goes back to what Waddy said last Tuesday when we talked about the lack of, or maybe it was on the Terrible Talk, but the lack of having enough coaches there that are cohesive, making the unit work makes a difference. The Skins, the Commanders, whatever the hell you want to call them, Mike, they really have done a great job of bringing in a cohesive group of guys that are all on the same page.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's no question about it.
It's cool that Cliff Kingsbury stayed too. That was kind of cool. He actually supposedly was offered the Saints job before Kellen Moore.
I believe that.
But what you just said, Mark, again, watching the pivot, they talked about that year, Ryan Clark, the defense, and he said there was no offense or defense. They didn't have any issues except when AB start doing his crazy shit. But
real quick though, I think the Eagles are going to be okay because they still got Stoutland there. Their last coordinator is now. This was his first year in Washington, Brian Johnson, and he was the offensive coordinator in the offensive passing game. Before him, they had Stain Steichen, who is now at the Colts. So Sirianni, even though he caught flack last year, he puts a pretty good staff together. So I gotta believe he'll keep his main guys in vote, and he'll go out and get the right guy. I think he'll make the right decisions. I think that offense will be straight. I really
All I'm going to tell you is if you mess with Sirianni, you're going to wake up with that horse head in your bed.
Sirianni.
All right. He's a paisan, and he plays it like that.
Hey, those Eagles and Commanders games for these next couple of years are going to be good.
They should.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. It might come down to those two teams in the NFC Championship the next few years. Honest to goodness.
Noobs, you get rid of your Charger stuff yet, Noobs?
Most of it I've sold on eBay. I still have a little bit. I just like chop wood in it, do stuff like that.
He likes the powder blue and gold.
Yeah.
Hey, fellas, what did happen to Patrick, though? What happened to Patrick Mahomes? Seriously. Like, we got to talk about this because that wasn't the same.
What do you mean?
Like, he wasn't the same kid I watched play almost
better
every
competition.
other.
It was a better team. Better team.
True.
Yeah.
Those four guys up front, that's what happened.
Yeah,
I mean, hey, you got them barreling down on you.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't, a play
But
here or a play
he kept
there.
stepping up into the
every play.
pocket over and over and over. Like,
It's always worked before. I mean, there's what else? All you guys answer this.
Places to go.
Every last one of you guys, because you guys look at rosters deeper than I do. Other than Patrick Mahomes over Hurst, who on Kansas City's offense, and I guess it'd be Kelsey, but who on Kansas City's offense would you take right now on your team?
Xavier Worthy. That would be about
Xavier
it.
Worthy.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going rookie. You guys aren't even going Kelsey.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? So
Kelsey's
when you
due the most money on their
have
team
the
next
horses.
year.
What's that?
Kelsey is due, believe it or not, the most money on their team next year.
Yeah.
He's going to be the highest paid tight end in the league.
Fellas, when you don't have the squad, at some point you just don't have the squad. And you can say, and we can say what we want, and I don't want to get deep into it. But when we talked about those beneficial calls and the plays, when the Chiefs are studies shown they're given 2 beneficial calls, averaging 2 calls per game, and they won 13 games this year by 1 score or 1 TD or less, those calls make a difference. You know what I'm saying? So if you're not getting help by the zebras and you just don't have the horses, at some point it's time to pay the piper. And they was in his ass like a wedgie. I mean,
like a fox's wedgie, or
yeah. And you know what else?
Deep in it, dog. Deep.
You know when Kelsey gets to that point where he's scrambling and doing all that, and those guys kind of do their little scramble drill and they get open and he finds somebody. Well, the secondary for the Eagles, you have to give them the credit, because when he started doing that, they were locked on. I mean, they did not give him that opportunity to throw the ball deep downfield and find that guy open after he's doing all that scrambling either. So that also kind of put him in check a little bit.
Yeah, it was a perfect thing. If it's a team sport, when those guys up front don't do what they're supposed to, it doesn't matter who's back there. Because to me, still the best QB in the league. To me, I love him. It's Patrick Mahomes. I still like him, but he looked so basic. When that Sunday was the complete epitome of it is a team sport. To me, it was.
But I'm going to go back to what I keep saying, fellas. Why was there not some scheming of how to handle the pressure up front? Okay,
how?
I think the second half they did a better job.
I mean, it was
they half rolled him. Yeah. They half rolled him one or two times.
Yeah.
They ran a couple screens and they did try to run the ball. It was just ineffective. They got 2 yards.
When your 4 D linemen can take care of everybody up front, your backers are running free.
Yes.
What do you do? What do you do?
See ya.
Yeah, that's 5-on-4, and you not winning. That's a problem.
I will say that
sometimes 6-on-4, because they were definitely chipping.
Yes,
that's true.
And 7-on-4 because they were keeping a back in on sometimes.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, this is not the formula for other teams to be looking at, though, and expect to have the same success as the Eagles did, because the Eagles are very fortunate. They just happen to draft the guys that fit the mold that they were trying to put together, and other teams are going to go out and try and emulate that. I think that's kind of tough to emulate. You've got to have your own personality. Like I just feel like you got to meet the needs of what your team wants to do.
You have to have coaches that can bring it out. I thought since Ozzie Newsome was there, I thought the Ravens were always good at drafting personnel that helps them. But if your coaches can't bring it out in you, your schemes don't work. I don't know, man.
Or you got to have a couple guys who get in trouble, and that's what those guys up for do. They get in trouble outside of football.
Yeah, they were willing to take chances on guys that dropped in the draft, and they were in the right spot. They got lucky, but you got to give it to Howie Roseman for putting a hell of a roster together.
I guarantee you, he said, which one of these guys has IEPs?
Man, Braun, and that linebacker Braun, he damn sure stepped up, and he's a free agent. Braun,
he only made $3 million, right?
I know.
He had 185 tackles. Nobody's even close to him.
Tackles.
They should have upped him.
As soon as that game was over, he's a free agent. He told his wife, "We going to Sizzler, and you can get whatever you want." And he is fitting to get paid, Jack.
So they said 15 out of 22 starters for Philly were drafted by Howie Roseman.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
That's pretty good.
I got to look this list up. News, because I want to see which ones of those are knuckleheads.
We know Jalen Carter.
Most of the defense.
That's where you got to have the dog. That's where the dogs are. They on that side of the ball.
Yeah.
No doubt. You got to be on that side.
Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, Josh Sweat.
Sweat is the one who showed me he had a hell of a game.
Because they double teamed. Well, they didn't double
Mitchell.
team. They took Nolan Smith out of the game. They focused on because he lit it up the week before.
You know what the key to me though is their O-line. They got Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, Jordan Mailata, and Lane Johnson. They drafted all 4 of the 5, and then the next one was they got Becton from the Jets. Yeah. So I mean, that's a pretty goddamn good O-line. They drafted the shit out of O-line.
10 of their 11 starters are due back on offense next year.
Wow.
Is Beck the only one who was a free agent? But I think 10 of the 11 starters are due back.
I got to say this, though.
To deal with.
Listen, injury plays a huge part in the NFL, too. And those guys had nobody that was significantly injured that –
just Graham.
And up front. Well, Graham was out, and then Dickerson was out, in the championship, and then his sub went out. The guard went in at center, and then they brought in Jurgens. Jurgens, is that who they brought in?
Jurgens was out. Jurgens was the center. Yeah, he was out. They're flipping stuff. Yeah, it was a mess.
But whatever you say, injuries do play a huge part. And if you're going to have injuries, you better get them in the first half of the year, because when you get to the point in December that you need to start winning and looking like you're unleashing hell on teams, if you're injured, that's not going to happen. Look at what happened to Detroit, who was so dominant. They had all those guys out on the IL. They fell apart. They were invisible. It'll be interesting to see if, when they get Hutchinson back and some of those guys next year, if they are as dominant. Like, I would love to see a full-scale Detroit, Philadelphia team with minimal guys injured, how that would play out. Like, I really would like to see that. But, you talk about dogs. AJ Wood ain't no dog, noobs. What? That boy's as pure as it gets. He's as pure as the day is long.
Great kid. You see his videos. He was posting some videos after the Super Bowl. It was great.
Really cool. He was so quiet. That boy is so quiet too.
Hey, they might make him a dog. He might be quiet off the field, but then he might turn into it on the field.
He's working against.
You can always flip that switch.
Yeah, and every practice he's working against those starters. I mean,
wow.
I mean, he is a great kid, and I really pray that he makes that squad, makes the 53-man roster next year, because he will be a legit player.
So do they also get the bonus for winning the Super Bowl?
Yes.
Oh, that's what's up. That's cool.
I don't know. I reached out to him. And I said, when you get a minute, let me know so we can bring you on a show, even if it's just for a short segment. I think that's important to talk to him and give him some airtime. Again, he's a quiet kid, but it'd just be good to hear his perspective of just being on that team and how he saw things through his eyes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hey,
wow.
You know what's cool, real quick, just about AJ? Like, he was one of those kids, just so you guys know, like, he always had A's and B's. Like, you never had to worry about him missing class. Like, he was always in class. He was always on time. He did everything right. And a good person. Like, if he saw you drop a bunch of papers, he'd come running up and try and help you pick them up. Just a great kid, man. You love to see good people have success. I think it works out that way, and he's with a great organization. There's a reason for that.
Are the Eagles going to repeat, fellas?
I'm not going to throw that out there because
it can happen.
Like you just said, you got the Commanders sitting there now. You got Detroit. Don't forget about them.
The Giants.
I think. Well, no, they're bad. Dallas will be better. Once Dak comes back, they're going to be better. I think they're.
Packers should do something. They should be all right.
Packers. I mean, Minnesota. Depending on what they do at quarterback. I mean, there are a lot of good teams. A lot of good teams. So I can't throw that.
A lot of good teams with a lot of good front office people.
But you just talked about the NFC. Is there anybody in the AFC that could potentially, challenge that? Because right now, you talked about the NFC that was very powerful.
Oh, absolutely. No, I just mentioned that because that was the side that they were on.
Right.
But,
who do you got? Who do we got in the AFC? Bills, Ravens,
sure, absolutely.
Texans,
Steelers.
No,
questionable. But then you also, you look at. Don't forget about LA Chargers. Don't forget about them.
I agree.
They're just
every year they're right there.
How about Cincinnati, fellas?
They got a different head coach. You look what they did this year compared to the years before with that big jump, and they're just a few receivers away, really.
Listen here. Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season. Don't forget the Steelers.
That's a Thursday show.
I'm just saying, don't forget him.
Mute his mic.
Yeah. I hate y'all, man.
I won't even put them in the discussion. I won't because
you can't right now because they don't have a quarterback. So you can't.
They do. Skylar Thompson.
You have a quarterback.
That's who's on the roster. That's the only guy on the roster.
Yeah, and that's a no. So you can't put him in that conversation. No way.
In my conversation, I can. Go. Next.
Did you guys see the pictures of Aaron Rodgers in a Pittsburgh uniform?
No.
We're not going down that lane.
No.
I'm gonna find it. Hold on. I gotta show
No, ain't nobody. No, nobody want to see that.
Oh,
I don't care if they
that.
brought me Montana back. That whoever the Steelers coach Nick bring in for a QB that would have been this year, last year, next year, a few years under Tomlin, they are all looking like Mahomes looked on Sunday. They're running around for dear life. Nobody's open. Nobody's catching the ball. Fellas, I mean, hell, I'm in 9th grade, and my mom says to my dad, I got in trouble. My mom says, Carol, or my mom says, Bob, Michael's not a bad kid. He just hangs with the wrong crowd. My dad looks my mom in the face. Was that?
That's Mark you was running around with?
No, Bobby Bornacki. Bornacki boy.
So,
Joey.
Is my father looks my mother in the face, calm as a month of Sundays, after she says Michael's not a bad kid, he just runs with the wrong crowd. My dad looked at her and said, Carol, Michael is a bad kid because he's part of the bad crowd. It is what it is. You are who you are. Fellas, Tomlin has lost, whether you want to say he's lost.
Hold on, let me turn my blur
Nobody
off.
wants to see that.
He's
lost.
Seriously, fellas, he's lost Big Ben, which was Cowers, guys. He lost LeBeau. He lost whatever, old-time school, whatever have you. It just, under his tutelage, we're getting the same thing every year.
All right. You're beating me up. I get it.
Thursday show.
Yeah.
Right, always.
So, Mikey got our relievers in here.
Yes.
I didn't realize it either. He said D-line should have been MVP. Mikey says, great D-line discipline by Philly, keeping Mahomes in the pocket. Yeah, they stayed in their lanes. They stayed in their lanes and they forced them forward. And maybe there's some positional coaches ready to move up with the same philosophy. Absolutely. That's how they get to that point. You just got to give them a shot.
If the quarterback has a decent, throws one TD, he'll get MVP. Hell, not trying to be funny, but when you look at stats, your boy, even when he beat the Chiefs, Brady didn't do a whole lot. He had the number one defense and the number one offense, but he got MVP because the team won. They're all 99.9. They're always going to give it to a QB as long as he doesn't lose it, throw INTs, have a fumble.
Right.
Yeah. Last three questions, fellas. You ready? The first one. There did not seem to be any questionable calls in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Does this definitely further solidify the fact that the officials may have had their hands into the Chiefs season a bit too much?
Yes, we already said it. They averaged 2 calls a game. The Chiefs did. They've averaged 2 beneficial calls a game. They won 12 or 13 games by 7 points or less. Those calls matter. Hell, in the Super Bowl, you realize when Juju, they called that 2 years ago when they played in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, they called that bullshit pass interference on the defense, which Kansas City would have went. They ended up getting a 3 to win it. Then I believe I'm a firm believer in those calls matter.
So you think that essentially they didn't want them to get the 3-peat. They didn't want that part of history to be lived already in the NFL because. I don't
think there's anything they could do in this one.
Yeah, I was beating to it. I was trying to think the proper way to say it, but without cursing. But yeah, there was.
I will say the Mahomes pass to who was it? Worthy, that 65-yard touchdown pass. That was money. Oh yeah, shit. That was just
off me money,
straight money.
But the bums were out there too. Let's not forget.
True.
Yeah, but he still put that. He still
the guy who was covering him, all he did was put his arm out like this.
I know.
I was like, what kind of effort is that?
On both touchdown passes, the DBs were there. On both long TD, DBs are like, it's Super Bowl. I'll let you get it.
He didn't swipe or anything. He just said.
They put their R3 at corner.
Hey, listen, Kenny Pickett threw a touchdown, right? Didn't Kenny Pickett throw a touchdown?
No.
He just got on the field.
He threw a pass and didn't know who it was supposed to go to.
He did have an attempt, and it was.
Hey, listen, Kenny Pickett hit the field. That's all I care about.
See, and you saw the internet is killing Tomlin already. Pickett, 3 seasons in the NFL, 1 ring. Tomlin, 18 seasons in the NFL, 1 ring. I said they will not let Mike rest, man. They ain't got nothing to do with that.
Because now we need a whole new. They're going to be on their 3rd quarterback room in 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Their 3rd quarterback room. What the hell? Hey, Kendrick Lamar, fellas. Let me hear some thoughts about that little junk.
Well, there's multiple ways to go on it. I didn't honestly.
I'll go last because I'm gonna break it down for you.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It was thing, man. It was on the entertainment aspect. I give it a 2 on an entertainment aspect. Right. On the educational aspect, it was a 10. It was an A+. When I'm telling you the man had it set up, and I'm gonna let Waddy break it down, because I've been talking to people and trying to drop money actual factuals on it. So I'm gonna let Waddy have it. But when you say, if people say I didn't enjoy it, I get it if you didn't enjoy it on the entertainment aspect. However, he was more than there to just entertain. He was basically telling, just keep it real. He was basically there to tell people, I can do more than just sing and dance to entertain. I can drop a little knowledge.
Surprise winner.
Yeah. That was crazy. But I'll be honest with you. I didn't know I knew any of his songs until I started hearing them. I don't listen to a whole lot of rap. You know, in my series, I listen to the 80s, R&B 80s, R&B hip hop 90s. So I don't really listen to any of the up-to-date stuff. So I didn't know that I knew any of his stuff. But on that entertainment, I give it a 2. On the educational, class was in session, bro. Class was in session.
Noobs.
I'm with Chops. I wasn't sure if I was going to know any of his music. Like we listen to rap in the weight room all the time. So then I was like, oh yeah, I know that. I know that. I didn't know really what was going on. I took a little break to get some refreshments. So I was kind of like, I was in and out. But I'll be honest, I don't know if I've seen too many halftime shows that really were exciting for me. Like the one with Snoop. That one was Snoop and the nostalgic. That was for me. That was like, I love that one.
And what stuck out for me was Mary J's old ass. Man, she should hit the treadmill. That's what stuck out for me. But you're right. There's not a whole lot of Super Bowl. Prince is Super Bowl because I was a Prince fan. That one stuck out to me.
How about Mike J?
Yeah, Michael Jackson, definitely. Those are iconic ones. But
yeah.
For the most part, like, I don't know, man. Like you hear these bands playing, so it's like,
let's hear it, Dream.
Tell us what really happened.
I don't really watch halftime shows. My daughter made me watch, but Watson has the lowdown. Go ahead.
Hit it, Waddy.
All right. I'm gonna kind of read because I had to write it down because I saw the question. Gosh. I had to write it down. And you guys have already mentioned some of it. All right. First thing is what people say. If they say it's boring, then that means they didn't get the message that was put out there. That means that's all. That's what it means. They didn't understand it, and that message was that we are here, meaning African Americans, meaning the community, and so forth. Okay, the American flag being built when they were making that American flag, what he was representing there was us basically building America. Okay, because of the things that we had done to get us to this point. Then you had Samuel Jackson when he was talking about the rules of the game. Well, we know who rules that they were talking about, not our rules.
Getting ghetto.
We know the rules. All right.
When he said that,
say that's what he was talking about when he was talking about the rules. Right. Then when the Squid Games, you remember the Squid Game piece? All right. For that one, basically it symbolizes rich killing the poor, as you said. Okay. That's what that symbolized. Also, he was talking about the protecting our black women. That's what Drake basically disrespected Venus. So that's what that was about. When she came on and did her crip walk. Yes.
Yeah. Did she hit the crip walk?
Yes.
Yep. And then you had SZA, who was also they was trying to demonstrate there is that black women basically don't need to be naked, okay, in order to show their beauty, their voice, and so forth. Okay, that's what he was talking about there. And then the other one was the plants. When we was talking about the plants and all that, basically there was the understanding that people just can't infiltrate our culture. Okay.
Great.
And then he talked about the basically all of this, meaning everything. It's not about really the rap. It's bigger than that, and it's basically that the people can't divide us as a culture. All right. And then the last piece I have for it, and this is the part that I guess and I blame myself for this, getting on Facebook and you're seeing people and then what they say about it and this and that. Again, they don't understand. And if the system hasn't worked you before, then you're not quite sure of what to make of it. But all he was asking is basically just listen to the message, try to understand, and then try to educate you on what has been going on, what is going on, and I'm going to say it, what is happening to us right now. You got to be wise to the situation. Look in front of you, and that's why I also say with Mike Tomlin, that's why all of this right here to me, that's what this is all about for me, right there. That's what it's all about. That's why I have a hard time with the whole situation. Is this
kicking them to the curb?
The one thing that Waddy didn't touch on,
see who they hire. That's why the Kellen Williams thing bothers me so much.
Kellen Moore, yeah. Kellen Moore, yeah. And the crazy part is what really blew my mind when they showed the aerial view of the field when he was performing, and it was set up like a jail, like the yard in jail.
Yeah.
I was like, this cat, he's dropping bars and he's teaching. If you didn't have your eye, see, a lot of them just refused to listen, willfully ignorant, or got their eyes glued shut. But my man was dropping bars, and he was teaching. Class was definitely in session on that one.
Yeah.
It was definitely.
So that's what it was all about.
I'm going to be honest with you. I was ignorant to it all. I like his beats. I have no problem with that. I just didn't recognize that he was bringing symbolism to the table. I don't get me wrong. I listen to him. I have no problem with that. I just didn't realize what his symbolism was when he brought it to the table.
And having Samuel Jackson dress as Uncle Sam and getting Samuel Jackson, fellas, that was big, man. Yeah. That was big. But I'm not gonna lie to you. The Super Bowl was Sunday. If I had been at the local grocery store and he as in Kendrick Lamar would have walked right past me, I'd have never known who he was.
Oh hell no, he's like 5'4". They say he's 5'6". He's like 5'4".
Yeah, but I didn't know who Webster was. I had no idea who. I had no idea.
Who the hell is Mustard? I never heard of Mustard. Mustard. Shit, I was waiting for Ketchup and Mayo to come out too.
Never. He was decent though. I ain't gonna lie.
It was an interesting. Once you look back at it, it was an interesting display of entertainment. Without a question.
And I encourage anybody that is listening, I encourage you to go back, watch it. And now that you know it was for educational purposes, go back, rewatch it, and then you'll see exactly what
and real quick
laid out.
In real talk, that Waddy beat me to it. Because Mark, I was just gonna say, you didn't get it then, but now that you've watched it, you're hearing it, you can at least say, I acknowledge, now I see it. When you have people that are still saying it sucked, it was no good, they are just willfully ignorant. They choose to, they have no idea. They have no idea.
His mother, I read on Monday something from his mom who talked about how intelligent and bright he was and how
he won a Pulitzer. I had no idea.
I didn't know that about him.
I was like Waddy, or excuse me, I was like News. I was going to replenish the drinks, the beverages, the chips and dip with the wings. I was doing it all. And they said, you got to check out Kendrick Lamar. All right, let me check him out. Then when he comes out in the red, white, because I ain't going to lie to you, the tight bell bottoms, I was like, I don't know about this, brother. I was like,
your sixth grade picture, your mom had you in bell bottoms and a big collar.
Yeah, but they weren't that tight. He must damn near gave himself a yeast infection. I was like, damn, why is he so tight?
Damn. Chops, I'm going to go to you then. Since you start dropping the name of foods, what was your favorite food you had that day?
Oh, man. Of course, I went with the spicy joint with the habanero teriyaki honey wings.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, dog.
Perfect.
I only had Marco's Pizza because I got home at 5:30.
Okay. Waddy, what'd you have?
We have wings. And then I did the Old Bay. I like the Old Bay.
Okay.
Yep.
Newbie?
Good. My wife made the venison chili, and it was actually really good. I don't know about you guys. When I do chili, I put a bunch of stuff on, like cheese,
Yes.
sour cream,
Some jalapenos,
Fritos, Frito-Lays. You ever put the Fritos on there?
I
yes,
put corn chip. I put
the
corn
corn
chips
chips.
on mine, but
yeah.
Josh, where you get those wings from?
What's that?
Where'd you get? You made them, or you get them from?
Yeah, man, I made them jokers. You kidding me? Yeah, buddy. No, I ain't gonna lie, they were banging. I've tried some concoctions.
Was Jimmy at your
It
house?
was
Was Jimmy?
What's that, man?
Was Jimmy up the crib?
No, man, he was down in Tybee. He was down in Tybee. It was just me and the wife solo chilling. I was ready for. I'm telling you, I was getting real talk. Is there a better food though than wings for the game?
No.
It's handheld. They're easy.
Although I will tell you,
Slice of pizza go with it. That makes it good too.
My wife,
Marcos.
my wife makes some crock pot mac and cheese, and somebody brought over some pulled chicken, like buffalo chicken shit. I put on top of it. That was legit right there. I was down with that. I was down with that. And my guy Nate Perry, shout out to Nate. He gave me a couple homemade beers. I was like, yeah, I'm in.
Hey, before we go, I got a question. You got 1 minute to answer it. I don't want no one looking down at their phones. Ready?
Yeah.
Which NFL team played in both the AFC and NFC championship?
Kansas City Chiefs.
No. You're out.
Seahawks?
Boom! Seahawks, yes.
I used to be a
Yeah,
huge,
That's right.
I used to be a huge Seahawks fan.
Hernandez
You
played
and
in
Junior
that.
Wells. Shout out to
They
Junior
played in
Jim
the
Wells,
Zorn,
NFC Championship
Steve
too?
Largent.
Yes.
Jay-Z, Steve.
Because I couldn't remember there was a team that had switched conferences. And I couldn't remember. I almost said
Seahawks,
Denver.
yep.
Who did they play when they played the old school when they were in the AFC or whoever? Who did they play?
They were in there with the Raiders and who's in that game? San Diego.
No, but who did they play in the champ? They played in the AFC Championship.
Oh,
I didn't get all that. Sorry.
I would
dude.
like to know who they played.
You asking? All right, dude. That's gonna be. I'll send you that in a text.
hey folks, you can find all these guys either on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram. You see their names, their handles right in front of you. Please give them a follow, hit them up. They got a lot to bring to the show, and I guarantee you they will hit you back. You can find us on Podpage /Original Sports Podcast with Mark Maradei. You can also find us on every place that you listen to or watch or see social media. We are everywhere. We're either OSP with MM or Original Sports Podcast. This Thursday night, we have a Terrible Talk show coming up where we will talk all that Pittsburgh Steelers stuff. And I don't know what we're going to break. There's so much to break down. But we're excited to do that. Hey, we're about 6 shows away from the end of season 5 or 5 shows away from the end of season 5. And we got some big things planned for season 6 after a short break. So I hope you guys pass us on to your friends. Don't forget to check out our other networks that we are part of. Let's Talk Sports, Sideline Sports, Elite Sports and Entertainment, Manning Media. Let me see, Peak One Sports, PDF Sportsnet. I mean, we got them all. We're all over the place as far as other sports networks. And don't forget us on Roku. If you miss our show online, you could check us out on Roku at National Streaming Sports. Feel free to reach out to us, send us an email, tell us what's going down with you at originalsportspodcast@gmail.com. If you're local in the Frederick area, I do have one more set of tickets for the Hyper Beer Festival this Saturday at the Frederick Fairgrounds, sponsored by Rockwell Brewery. There will be a ton of beers, a ton of food, entertainment. There's music, and there's some vendors going to be there. So hit me up with an email at originalsportspodcast@gmail.com. Shout out to Steve Medley for our voice intro and outro. Charlie Hodgson, our guy who does our music. Check us out next week and join us to experience the O at the Original Sports Podcast.